When people hear the word grief, they immediately start thinking about death. But I don't think grief is only for the dead. Sometimes, the hardest people to grieve are the ones who are still alive. The ones that are still laughing, the ones that are still making memories, the ones that are basically still living their lives, just not with you anymore. And I don't think a lot of people talk about that. As I got older, I realized that grief isn't only just for people who are dead. Grief actually attains to people who are alive. Attains to breakups, friendships, even splitting up with your parents, not talking to your siblings anymore for some reason, cousins, family members, and people who made an impact on your life and then just slowly start becoming strangers. When someone passes away, people know exactly what to say. You get the sorry for your loss or rest in peace. But when someone's alive and no longer part of your life, nobody really knows how to help. And that's something I realized, especially after my breakup, because they feel sorry for you and they feel sad for you, but they also tell you to move on quicker because that person, it's not like that person's gone forever. They still exist in this life. People take it a lot less seriously. But what they don't understand is that you still feel the same pain if they had passed away. And it's honestly one of the most strangest feelings I've ever felt in my life, and I'm still feeling to this day. It's really strange, man. Like knowing that someone still exists out there somewhere in this world, they're no longer part of your life, and they probably most likely never will be again. And I don't know, I always found that to be something that's just so incredibly bizarre. And to this day, I'm always questioning it. And I'm always trying to understand why that happens and why your nervous system treats, like example, a breakup or a friendship breakup. It's the same way your nervous system would treat that person. It's as if they died. Your brain just gets fucked up and it gets so confusing, and you just start going through every single sort of emotion, and it's not a good feeling, man. And you don't know what to do because it's a weird fucking feeling. And honestly, you're not just grieving the person. You're grieving far more than the person. You're grieving memories. You're grieving routines that you had with them. Certain traditions you may have had with them. Certain inside jokes that you might have had with them. Conversations that you had with them. Birthdays. Anytime a birthday comes up and you'd remember it, that's you grieving. Any holiday you might have had with them. Or if it's a special holiday, for example, Christmas or Eid or whatever you guys used to spend together on certain holidays, you'd grieve that too. But most importantly, you grieve the future you thought you'd have with them. And that's one of the most hardest things that I had to grieve. And I had to accept the fact that the future I envisioned with that person, it's dead. And it never will come to fruition. Because you envision, for example, marriage. You envisioned growing old with that person. You envisioned all those countries you talked about that you wanted to travel. And the hardest one for me was having to let go of the potential children that we would have had and all the names that we came up for them, how we spoke about how we'd parent them and we'd be like the best parents. That's something else that I had to grieve, and it's probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to grieve, even though they're not real. They were for a second in my head, they were real. Then suddenly, none of it exists anymore. And it's not because it never happened. It's because it never got the chance to even happen. And in my opinion, bro, that's grief too. My first heartbreak wasn't romantic. It's unexpected. I started working at KFC when I was 15 years old. And I met someone that I had become incredibly close with. She was my best friend through and through. We were working together all the time. We realized that we went to the same schools of each other. And we just got along like no tomorrow. And you know what the funny thing about that was? Is that it was the most platonic friendship you ever meet. There was never any feelings or nothing. And it was just so great. The fact that there was never any underlining feelings for each other or anything along those senses. We were just friends through and through. And it was amazing, honestly. Like, I miss her very much. And I'm happy to admit that. But unfortunately, that couldn't last because she ended up getting married and respectfully had to stop talking to me. And it's understandable because, out of respect for her husband, you don't want to be talking to a guy even though you've been friends for a long time. At the time, I told myself I was angry. I was so angry and I didn't understand it and I didn't want to understand it. I didn't want to know anything about it. But looking back, guys, I think I was grieving. I never even gave myself permission to miss her because in my mind, she didn't die. So why the hell will I grieve it? But now I understand that just because she's still alive and thriving, it doesn't mean I can't grieve her. Years later, I went through the same thing again. I lost the person I was in love with. And she wasn't dead or anything. Honestly, she's still alive right now. But at one time, she was my best friend. She'd be the first person I speak to in the morning. and the last person I speak to at night. And then when we broke up, I used to wake up and not know what to do anymore. My nervous system was fucked. And I wasn't just grieving her. I was grieving the version of me that existed when she was in my life. I lost everything, man. I lost the routines I had. I lost the comfort I had with her. I lost a part of my identity. I lost the future. It basically triggered an ego death. And I haven't been able to even think about the potential of love since then. And for so long, I wanted closure. I wanted answers. I wanted one final conversation. And eventually I realized closure is not something that this person is going to give me. Sometimes closure is something you have to build for yourself. I went to therapy. I gave myself time. I went to the gym, friends, spent time with them. I started growing as a human being. And healing just started following through. Happened slowly, but not all at once. And grief isn't linear, especially when you're grieving someone who's still alive. Because there's always the off chance that you'll see them again, and then your nervous system gets shut down. It's happened to me so many times, guys. Because in your head, you've grieved this person in a way that your mind and body thinks that they're dead. Because you're grieving them. And that's what grief is associated with. So one day you think, I'm finally okay. I'm doing good and it's okay. Then you might see them. And then the grieving process restarts. And trust me, guys, I've been through that multiple times. And sometimes I even did it to myself because I'd go to places where I knew she would be just to catch a glimpse of her. And when I did, I'd regret it every single time because my mind was just grieving her before, thinking that that's it, this person's not a part of your life anymore and that she's dead, that's it, like she's dead to you. But then when you see her, your mind and your body go into shock and it just shuts down, and then there goes, you have to restart a part of the grieving process, and 1 or 2 months go down the drain of you just being absolutely depressed. So you might see like a song, a place, a smell, a photo, on like a random Tuesday, and suddenly they're all on your mind again. But let me tell you something, guys. It doesn't mean that you've gone backwards. It means grief has changed. Grief, it doesn't disappear. It simply just changes shape. And sometimes I feel guilty. I think, why am I still missing them? Shouldn't I be over this? What the hell am I doing? It's been 1 year, I'm still grieving them. It's been 2 years, I'm still grieving them. While they're alive and they're doing God knows what, and they know they can talk to me. They know they have the avenue to talk to me. They're not blocked on anything. But every day they wake up choosing not to. And that's when I realized, fuck, that's when you have to start moving on. That's what kickstarted it for me. Healing doesn't have a deadline, guys. You don't wake up after 6 months or a year or 2 years and suddenly become over it. It happens slowly and it happens without you noticing. It took me a long time to realize this, like a really long time. But I realized that grieving someone who's still alive doesn't mean I'm stuck in the past. It just means that they mattered so much to me. And when you heal, there are times where you're going to feel guilty for moving on. But just remember that when you're healing, it doesn't mean you're forgetting them. It's just learning to carry, those memories you have with them, and you don't let it stop you from making new ones. Because some people don't stay on our lives forever. They'll just always be a part of our story. So whether you're grieving a breakup, a friendship, estrangement from your parents, you're grieving not talking to your siblings anymore, or certain family members, or even if you're grieving time, or you're grieving nostalgia of things that you used to go through. I've grieved a lot of things, guys, a lot of things. And we don't notice it, but we grieve something every single day. We grieve our old lives. We grieve good times. We grieve certain groups of people. Like a funny one I can think of is that I've grieved my old coworkers. I've literally grieved coworkers. And I didn't notice that I was doing it until I actually started thinking about grief. Every day you go through grief. I grieve my old car. Grief doesn't just pertain to people who have passed away. It pertains to memories, to futures, to people who are still alive. And maybe the best that we can hope for is that a little bit of them lives inside us forever, and that a little bit of us lives inside them forever. There's a great song by Vacations. It's called Telephones. And one of the main lyrics is that he goes, I wish I could live without you, but you're a part of me. Wherever I go, you'll always be next to me. Everyone that comes through our lives, they're all a part of us. Everything I've mentioned, to people, to experiences, to past memories, to future ones, to all the downs and ups that we've had, they're all a part of us. And there is certain people and certain things in life that we'd wish we could live without, but they're always going to be a part of us. And I honestly think that that's a beautiful thing.